time I sat down to sensibly, safely write, I couldn't bring forth a word. I decided I needed to research and went to find commentaries and articles. I spent time in the library and clicking around the internet. I pulled out an impressive full-color map of Israel, complete with the Hebrew names of midnight blue rivers and khaki mountains. Finally, in frustration one day, while sitting in this very chair, I began to simply type what was actually pulsing in my heart and ringing in my ears. I wrote about fear and brokenness. I talked about savoring life like the strange, sugary center of white honeysuckle, fighting the doubts that sometimes wore a black ski mask when they rattled my doorknobs late at night. How kindness takes courage. I told the truth about some things I'd rather keep hidden under the couch cushions with the dirty pennies. I admitted to both struggles and victories. I didn't make so many statements. I told more stories. This felt wild and scandalous to me, vulnerable and beautiful, like the only thing I could birth into the world right then. And as I began to talk with other women, I realized I am not the only one. I'm not the only one who has ever felt unsure. I'm not the only one who wants to treat today like that last glorious bite of whipped cream and chocolate pie you scrape the plate to get. I'm not the only one who is looking for purpose and passion and sometimes swats depression and anxiety away like flies on a picnic table. When you get to the end of these pages, I want you to also be able to say with certainty, I'm not the only one. I want all of us to feel less alone and more comfortable in our God-sewn skin and a little sure that we are a force to be reckoned with in this world. When I stepped into this book, I crossed a line. I found myself in a new place of living more fully, loving more bravely, and showing up as I really am in ways I hadn't quite dared before. This, I discovered, is the vast and wild and beautiful territory of the fierce-hearted. It's who we are, who we've been all along, where we belong. Come with me. Chapter 1. Unexpectedly Fierce-Hearted. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Brene Brown. The news came one fall afternoon. The leaves had just started acting like that neighbor woman who always wore the plain housecoat until showing up at the block party in the audacious dress everyone talked about for weeks. Reds and oranges and flashes of gold, perfume bittersweet as the edge of a burnt marshmallow. I was driving to my in-laws' house when I heard the news. I wanted to push the gas pedal into the floor until it snapped, and I hurtled like a loose bull down the highway. I wanted to slam the brakes so hard my tires would write my broken heart on the pavement in ugly skid marks. I did neither. Instead, I just kept going. Isn't that the way with us? But inside me something invisible and fragile and essential had shattered. Trust. A friend had hurt me in a way I'd never expected. Normally I'd just say, oh, that's okay. I tried. I gave the speech in my mind 1,000 times, but it wouldn't make its way to my lips or fingertips, and I felt panicked. Because I'm a woman who has always hated conflict. I would rather go under the drill at the dentist than have an argument. Yes, doctor, I'll take that root canal over exchanging tense words with someone I love. To avoid conflict, I would simply try very hard to be agreeable, and when that didn't work, I'd pretend to be fine anyway. Please pass the salt and potatoes, even though your fork is in my back. Let me pause and confess I full out know better. I have a master's degree in counseling, for goodness sake. One of the phrases I remember most from my training is conflict is a way to become one. I loved that when I heard it and thought it was quite brilliant and beautiful. But it was like loving how caviar looks all glittery and shiny at the fancy party, then realizing what's on your plate is cold and slimy, and you'd rather have the cheap fish sticks the kids are eating, thanks. I'm starting to understand there are two kinds of knowing in this world. The first is in your head, where everything makes sense and is as pristine as a laboratory. The other is the kind where scripture says things like Adam knew Eve.